Hi YouTube family, Lisa A. Romano here, the life coach, and today I want to talk about something that is very dear and near to my heart, and that is children, and what we can do to help our children deal with the past, specifically our pasts, and how and if we brought them through difficult times. For instance, whether we were alcoholics, whether we were codependent and had a difficult marital relationship and we pulled them through a divorce. So what I want to talk about is how we can help our children deal with any past that they had that we were part of so that they can move forward in their life. And I'm going to just say it like it is. This video has been inspired by a very brave mom by the name of Dana, who is going through some difficult times with her children. And after our coaching session, I felt very much encouraged to make a video and to share this information with other people out there who may be in very similar situations. So when I was going through my stuff and I realized that I was codependent and messed up in the head, and that I was teaching my children how to be codependent, and that I had hurt them by being a very unaware, self-absorbed codependent, a martyr, a complainer, a blamer, feeling victimized by the world. And in all my perfectionism in trying to be the perfect mom, and in all my perfectionism trying to have the perfect house and having the perfect children, I was a neurotic nut job. And I was driving people crazy. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that because I was codependent. And I didn't realize that I was seeking validation outside of self. And that's what really was motivating all these ridiculous neuroses. You know, I wanted to be the perfect mom. So somebody, I don't know who, was going to pat me on the back and say, "Good job, Lisa. You're a great mom." And I was going to feel validated. I didn't understand then that unconsciously I was seeking that which I never received as a child. Deeper, I didn't understand that it's absolutely normal and appropriate for a child to seek validation from outside of self. We all do. And in a perfect world and in a normal, healthy home, we would have felt validated. I would have felt seen. I would have felt like me, Lisa matters, I'm good. And so I wouldn't have been a neurotic 31-year-old mom trying to make her kids perfect, trying to seek validation from their father, from them, from their teacher, from anybody, from the bagel guy, from the newspaper guy, from the UPS man, from whoever. I was just constantly seeking validation. I didn't realize that I was like an imposter in my own being. I didn't realize it. I was a zombie for a while. I had this reptilian brain that I was just reacting to. I had no idea that I was unconscious. And none. Okay, so now I come to the realization that I'm messed up. And I see it. I see it. I get it. My mother and father are adult children of alcoholics. So they taught me to think like an alcoholic. Everything's about control. And everything's about denial. And everything is about what's going on outside of self. You know, if I'm pissed off, it's because something happened outside of me. It's because someone did something. It's not because I think that that person should think the way I think they should think. And that's why I'm pissed off. No, it's because they did something to me. If I didn't realize that, you know, if I was ornery and angry, it was because I wasn't able to manipulate someone into patting me on the back. And how dare they feel that way? I didn't realize that that was a dysfunctional way of thinking. So I walked around pissed off all the time, expecting people to do and say what I unconsciously needed them to say and to do, and attached to outcomes. And so I wake up and I realize that this is what's going on. This is part of why I'm so unhappy. And I'm stuck in this relationship with a man who couldn't care less about how I felt, which is only making it worse. And I didn't realize at the time that I had complete control over that. Ask him for a divorce. Go get an attorney. Figure out what I need to do to get away from this relationship and take care of myself and take care of my children. Teach them something better. That was a foreign concept to the codependent woman I was, the ACOA that I was. And I qualified because I'm a grandchild of alcoholics, and my parents were adult children of alcoholics. I don't know that. So I wake up and I realize I've done this to my children. Holy crap, dear ones. That was a very difficult pill to swallow. because I realized that, even though I wasn't drinking and even though I wasn't drugging, I was teaching my children codependency. I absolutely was. And I was teaching them to worry about what other people thought about them. I was using guilt to manipulate them into doing what mommy wanted them to do. I wasn't burning cigarettes into their arms, and I wasn't, calling them names, but I was using manipulative language, and I wasn't coming from a higher, more emotional space. I wasn't. And I was taking things personally. So if my son said, "Mommy, I hate you," oh my God, you would have think the kid cut my foot off. The way I reacted. Now today, if I had a 7-year-old kid that said, "Mommy, I hate you," I would say, "Okay, why do you hate mommy?" Okay, I might hate mommy if mommy didn't take me to Toys R Us too, but you know what? I don't think you mean that. And by the way, I love you anyway. Let me know when you're over it. That I would not take it personally because he's a little kid. But when you're a codependent mom, how your child speaks to you is a reflection of you. At least that's the way you think. That's the way you think. So you need this kid to act great. So it makes you look good as a mom. That's what codependent moms do. That's what codependent dads do. That's why codependent dads who are coaches, their kid's got to be the best kid on the mound. And if their kid, doesn't pitch perfectly, the coach dad is pissed off at the kid because it makes him look bad. Ooh, that's a problem. That's a codependent dad. Unacceptable. So what do we do when we get to a point where we grow up enough to understand that we were asleep and in our unconsciousness, like Christ says on the cross, I think it's a great parable, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. I know that Christ is me and I am Christ and I am God and God is me and I am Christ and I am God in flesh, that Jesus Christ comes to represent me in God form, right? That Jesus Christ represents God in the flesh and Jesus Christ represents me because I'm a son of God or a daughter of God, whatever, let's not get crazy. And if we understand the meaning of the story, here Christ is on the cross saying, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Forgive who? Forgive who? Jesus Christ is asking God to forgive them, but them is us. So the way I look at it, I don't mean to confuse anybody. Stick with me. We need to forgive ourselves for not knowing. I believe that's the message behind what Christ was noted saying on the cross. Forgive them. They don't know what they do. So I needed to forgive self. So you forgive yourself. You understand that there was a time in your life where you didn't know that you didn't know. So you get to a point where you can forgive yourself, which is monumental, okay? Because forgiveness is a big part of this journey. And I caution you, when hearing other people tell you, you have to forgive everybody. If you want to move on, you have to forgive. You have to forgive yourself first, dear one. Then once you forgive yourself, then you can forgive other people, but not until you forgive yourself first. That is numero uno. That's this first step. Now, how we help our children today is, once we get to that point, is we have conversations with them and we ask them to tell us how they feel. We ask them to tell us, especially if we have adult children who are suffering, and we understand it's because of what we put them through when they were younger. What we do is we say, I need to know how you felt when I did X, Y, and Z. I need to know what this divorce did to you. I need to know. For me, I had to ask my children, how did you feel when Dad took you away for the first time, and out of my arms? How did that make you feel? And I was really surprised to hear that, after some coaxing, my kids would say, I was mad at you. I didn't want you to let Daddy take us. I didn't want to go to Grandma's house. I wanted to stay with you. And I just stood there and I gave them that space. I honored that space. To me, that was beautiful because it meant my kids were healing. Like, oh, they're talking about how they feel. Okay, and when we talk about how we feel, we honor the child within, and that's when we merge. That's when we integrate. When we are not connected to self, what that means is that we're blocking and we're preventing our consciousness from being able to embrace that which is. So we need to learn to embrace first all the ghosts and the shadows in our own experience. And we love them. We pull them in. We say, yes, if you were a drug addict mom, then you say, yes, I used to be a drug addicted mom, but I'm not anymore. If you were an alcoholic dad, you pull that shadow self in and you say, yes, I used to be an alcoholic dad, and I wasn't the best dad. And you love that shadow. You say, I forgive you, because when you were doing that thing, you didn't know that you didn't know. And so here we go. We're imparting the forgiveness upon the self. We're embracing the shadow self. So if you beat your children and you know that they suffered, then you forgive that aspect of you that was that crazy ass mom or dad that was detached from reality or whatever your issue was. And you try to, because that's a tough one, because you're hurting innocent babies. Like, oh, that's a tough one. Ooh. So you pull that shadow into self and say, yes, I did do that. That was an aspect of my personality. That was, and I did that in my unknowingness, in my not knowing my divine self. That was what showed up. We have to understand that when we are in our darkest times, that means that's when we are the furthest away from acknowledging the true self. It's very difficult to be mean to people and to hurt people when you love yourself. Because when you love yourself, you feel light and you understand that those other aspects, the judgmental person used to be, the critical person used to be, all represented a part of you, or a time in your life where you were turned away from the self. And you were wearing this jacket that really didn't represent you. And when you learn to embrace those aspects, especially those dark aspects of self, say, yes, if you've been bulimic, yes, I've been bulimic. If you've been, a love addict, yes, I've been a love addict. If your children have watched you parade men in and out of your house, then you acknowledge that, yes, that was me. And yes, I acknowledge that when I was doing that, I didn't know that I didn't have to do that. I didn't know that I was acting out of a program and in a pattern, and I can forgive that now. And if you have children, now part of the journey is, because we want to break the chains of codependency and love addiction. We want to break the chains of self-sabotage. We want to break the chains of self-abuse. We want to break those chains. We want it to end today, now, and forevermore. So what we have to do is first embrace it in self and forgive self for it. And then we've got to stand there and we've got to get really, really strong. And we have to become this phoenix. We have to become this mom or this dad who is able to say to their child, I am sorry. I screwed up. And I know I hurt you. And I need you to forgive me. Or I'm asking you to forgive me. And I hope that you can. And I'm just so sorry that in my younger days I was unaware and I hurt you. And what I want to do now is I want to honor the space that's between you and I want to unblock whatever blocks or blocking our ability to connect as a father and a son, or a father and a daughter, or a mother and a daughter and a mother and a son, or whatever. And I want to be as open to receive what you've experienced, because I know that in me standing here and just listening and hearing is the way I get to validate your experience, and that's going to help you feel more real, and you deserve that. I wasn't there, not consciously, not in the right state of mind. I didn't show up for you. I was absent, and I abandoned you. I may have been sitting there right next to you on the couch, but I wasn't there, and I know that now. And I wasn't there for myself, and I was a robot, and I hurt myself as well as you. But this isn't about me. This is about you. This is about me trying to, in my own way, be there for you in the most honoring way that I think I can be. So please tell me how it felt to be you. How did you experience me? How did you feel? Did you feel abandoned? Did you hate me? Did you wish that you had another mother? Did you wish you lived in another house? Did you feel like our house was unpredictable? Did you feel unsafe? And chances are, with enough nudging, because this is the deal, children want to protect mom and dad, but that's role reversal, dear ones. Better make sure your children aren't taking care of you. It's your job to take care of them. And I don't care If you're 70 and they're 50, I don't care. It's your job to help that child know that you got this. Mommy's in control. Daddy's in control. I got this. You can tell me whatever you need to tell me, dear one. I love you anyway. You see, that's unconditional love. That's the way it's supposed to be. We were supposed to grow up knowing that if we cursed, if we made a mistake, if we stole the quarter, if we failed the test, if we didn't make head cheerleader, if we were a little heavy, if we had acne, if we didn't want to play the effing violin like Dad did, if we didn't become the doctor and we didn't become the lawyer and we didn't become the great engineer and we didn't do what Mommy and Daddy wanted us to do, that we were still worthy, that we were still enough. That even though we weren't doing what Mom and Dad wanted us to do, they still loved us. And they loved us enough to let us make a few mistakes. And that when we turned around and said, Mom, Dad, I screwed up, they said, all right, what do you want to do about it? How are you going to get yourself out of this mess? What did you learn? That's being parented. That's the right way to parent a child. We don't enable, we don't criticize, we don't blame, we don't suffocate. But not many of us have that experiences as children. And so it's all about learning, and it's all about asking self. When your mind is opened and you start understanding that you have the ability to have a new mind. And what's the new mind? The new mind is the higher mind. So, like I say in other videos, get out that piece of paper, draw a 3x3 building. Draw a building that's 3x3 square. Cut it into thirds. The bottom floor represents your subconscious mind. That's where all your patterns are. That's where all your belief systems are. And everything that you believe about self was created between the ages of 0 and 12. So if your life sucked, dear one, guess what? You got some digging to do. It just is what it is. So you've got some patterns in the subconscious mind you need to look at. Now, that represents 95% of who the hell you are as a big person. Yup. So if Daddy was an alcoholic and a narcissist, guess what you're attracting later on in life? And I don't care if you get married once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, until you figure this crap out, you're going to be attracting that narcissist into your life. Might not be an alcoholic. Might be a very wealthy narcissist. Might come on really, really strong and you think, yeah, you hit the jackpot. Give it time until you unearth what is unconscious. Girl, guy, you're going to be recreating your patterns. So I'm here to say, wake up. Bing, 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 bing. I got a big ass mouth from New York, and I'm just saying, wake up, wake up, wake up. And if you've been attracted to my video, then I believe that you's waking up. Now, the second floor represents the thinking mind, represents the conscious mind. Okay, now, stick with me, dear ones, because what most of us are doing until we wake up is we're thinking about the way we're feeling, but our feelings are based on BS. Our feelings are the result of dysfunctional programming. So all we're doing is recycling, regurgitating, and repeating what the hell is going on below the surface. Not enough. You need to wake up, turn the light on, walk up that ladder to the 3rd floor. Ding, 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 ding. Get up there. Now you're in the higher mind. Now, this is the amazing thing. This is heaven. When you learn to think about the way you think, when you understand you can objectify your thought patterns, you can say, I don't like that thought pattern. I don't think I like that thought pattern. No, I don't like attracting narcissists. I know that I tolerate that abuse because my mother tolerated abuse. And I know that I observed my mom put up with my dad. And I know that I think my mom's a nice person. So I know that I have this belief rolling around in my head that says something like, nice people put up with nonsense. Nice people put up with crap. Nice people never give up. Nice people never complain. Oh my God, dear ones, if that's what's going on in the subconscious mind and you do not objectify that thought process, you're screwed. You are screwed because you will stay in the thinking mind and you will think about the way you feel and you'll be a robot and people will crap all over you and you'll tolerate it because you have this unconscious belief that's tied to your observation of mom because mom's an angel and she put up with dad's crap and you think to be good means you got to put up with people's crap. That might be what you learned to perceive from 0 to 12, but it doesn't mean it's right and it doesn't mean it's healthy. A much healthier observation is, well, you got to get to the 3rd mind. You've got to get to the higher mind. You've got to get to the mind that can objectify the thinking mind. And until you can do that, you're just a robot. So a healthy way, I'm digressing and I should probably stop this video and create a new one, but I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll. So stick with me, dear ones. Get your notebook out and write this stuff down. Rewind the tape. So, wasn't it Howard Cosell used to say something like that? But anyway, so when you get to the point where you're able to say, wait a minute, what's a healthier way of thinking? And my affirmation book will help you learn new patterns of beliefs. So, and new thought processes, because your brain can only play with the toys that are in the sandbox. And if the toys are in the sandbox are dysfunctional, you need new toys. You need new toys. Get it? I know you do. A lot of you just went, holy crap, this chick is deep. I know. It is deep stuff. So, you need new toys in the sandbox. So your brain is the sandbox. So understand, if your childhood was dysfunctional, you got dysfunctional toys in the sandbox. Not the end of the world, dear one, and not even your fault. So what we have to do is overhaul. You must learn new patterns of belief. You must understand that if you don't change the way you think, then you're going to keep getting what you're getting. And if what you're getting ain't enough, well, unless you change the way you think, you're going to keep getting what's not enough. And it's all in your control. You can fix this. I know I did it. I did it. I created heaven on earth. I'm so freaking happy. And I'm not saying that to brag. I say it to inspire you and to teach you that it is possible. You can control your thought process and you can decide what you want to think. So what I encourage you to think is that, number one, healing is possible. It is possible to be loved by someone who really, really sees you, but not until you see yourself. Okay? Once you see yourself, once you forgive yourself, then it's easier to forgive other people. And then life begins to get a little bit more rosy. You cannot have a happy life if you think that nice people put up with BS. First of all, you don't need anyone else to think you're nice. Okay? We have to correct that thought process. So we have to say things like, I don't need other people's validation any longer. I am no longer going to seek someone else's validation. I now seek my own validation. I wish to be happy. I am not happy when I am lied to. So I am going to move away from people that lie to me. Ooh, that feels better. That's a better belief. So dear ones, keep your questions coming. And again, to all those moms and dads out there who are on this very, very courageous road of recovery, do not stop with you. Pass the torch to your children. Ask them to forgive you. Ask them to tell you what their reality was. Ask them to make their reality real to you. Ask them to honor you with their reality and encourage them to worry less about what you think. Encourage them to know that you got this. You got this. You got this. And you're going to be there for them today in a way that you were unable to be there for them in the past. I love you, dear ones, from my heart, from my toes. I bow to the love and the light in you. Namaste.